Hey, I'm Pascal from Orangepixel, and today's video is going to be interesting, probably very stupid and very time consuming, mostly just for me. You just have to sit there and watch. Gonna talk about Regulator City, the game I'm working on, and some cool stuff. We have to talk about that. While I'm doing that and while I'm recording this video, I'm also gonna boot up this one, upgrade its firmware, and try to install Regulator City on it to see if we can have it up and running before the end of this video. I like setting myself up for epic failure, I guess. Yeah, it doesn't sound smart now that I say it out loud, but we're gonna try. Oh, this is gonna be a cool video. All right, just in case you don't know, this is an iiRcade. Talked about it many times on the channel. It's pretty much, well, an arcade cabinet running Android-based operating system. So all my Android games run on it. I just haven't tried Residual, the previous one. Not sure that's gonna run, but also Regulator City, the one I'm working on now, would be an awesome fit for this cabinet. So I just want to see if it runs, basically. Epic failure coming in 3, 2. Alright, it boots up and wants to install the firmware automatically. Downloading, installing, just let it run and see if it all works out. Okay, I always find firmware updates extremely nerve-wracking. I know it normally all goes well, but there's this slight chance that something like this pretty much breaks the whole device. Fingers crossed. Okay, so Regulator City, changes I've been making the recent weeks, pretty much game-changing changes. Yeah, they were very much needed. I talked about the city map in many videos. The idea was there partly somehow have a city map that you can use to build a city, and then when you build city and buildings will have missions, and then it was a very vague description of something that wasn't really fully clear in my head. It never got clear. I just struggled with it. I was ready to completely ditch the whole map view, pretty much. But then I was playing Shredder's Revenge, the turtle game on the Switch. It has this very old school city map, like many games have had and many games still have. And I figure let's try to do that and just completely dumb it down pretty much to a static city map. Well, not static, it's procedural still, because I just love that stuff. So the type of buildings will be procedural, the location of those buildings will be procedural. So everything is still generated, there's still a city being built, just not by the player, but it fixed a lot of issues. There's now an actual good progression. You start at a certain point and you know there will be like maybe 10, 12, 50 missions. You know where you're going, you know you'll be playing mission 2, 3, 4, 5, you'll know where the exit is, so you actually have a goal, something that I also did not have for this game. It's cool, you have a city, you can play missions, but what's the purpose, what's the end goal? Now we have one, and at the end there's probably gonna be something like a big boss fight or whatever, or a big gang fight or something like that, but at least we have something to work towards. So that fixed a bunch of problems. Another problem this fixes is progression of difficulty. All right, quick look. Firmware is almost done. About to install and reboot it. Let's hope the device still runs, because else this video is just pretty much a waste of. Yeah. And anyway, city map. Progress. The demo I had available in Steam Next Fest was pretty much how I develop games. There is no skill or difficulty set. It's just dump everything we are building into the game and let the player sort it out. It's difficult. If you're a new player, you have no idea what you're going to be doing. There's all these things happening, all these enemies coming at you. Of course, we need to make that a lot easier at the start. And we now actually have a start and a difficulty progression. The more missions you complete, the more difficult the game will be. So that also changed how the current build is. You will find that the opening street scene won't have as many enemies coming at you as the original one. There won't be guys hiding in cars. Those will be used for later levels. And in buildings we also have a much lower percentage of enemy spawning. This was already implemented, just not used, because I wasn't sure how to
manage the difficulty, but now we can just check which mission or which level you are, and based on that level we spawn a little bit more of the enemies. So in the level design editor we pretty much place all the locations where enemies can be placed, and then when we generate and load a level or load a template and then generate a level from it, we'll just pick like 40%, 60%, or at start maybe just 10% of these enemies will actually spawn, the rest will not. And that's just a lot of progression, and it just makes the game easier to get into, fixing a lot of issues people had with the demo. It also gives you a clear goal, and it just all seems to work out well and fit and starting to look and feel like an actual game.
Alright, meanwhile this one is installing the update. Let's hope it just boots after this. Always a very dangerous step, I find. Firmware, not just on this, just on every device that has firmware. I just find it very frustrating because I know software developers and often they kind of screw up in things, and it's just a lot of stuff going on and not everybody has the exact same configuration, so a firmware can just do silly things. Let's hope this works out.
So besides having that whole city map now up and running perfectly, I also did a very simple change to the levels. Obviously you're going to design levels in the level editor, and yes, it's most likely still going to be in the released game, so you can design your own levels, but the levels will randomly be flipped or mirrored, so that everything on the left will be on the right and everything on the right will be on the left, flipped. That's pretty much what it means. Hang on.
Second firmware update. Yeah, well, guess we're just gonna install that one as well. Go, do your thing. 2 firmware updates. I haven't really booted the iiRcade for a while. Sorry iiRcade, still love the device. I'm just very busy guy and don't game a lot. So, alright. Second firmware update. What could go wrong?
Yeah, like I said, this is going to be a crazy video and probably very chaotic to watch. I'm also going a lot faster than the device is going. So I'm almost done with everything I had to cover, which wasn't a lot. And that's pretty much the reason why I decided to mix this all up. I just hoped and thought this would go a lot faster. But like with every console, whenever I turn something on, I have to wait for firmware updates. That's pretty much what I do with my consoles, and then by the time they are done, I'm not interested anymore and I turn them off again. So this is taking longer than I thought, so here's just a little gameplay clip of Regulator City as it's currently built, and we'll talk about it a little bit more after that. Hopefully, yeah. While I'm waiting on the iiRcade, I'm actually preparing some assets for the game. When you install these games on the iiRcade, you can change the background and some other stuff. The instruction panel, I never changed these for my games because it seems like a lot of work. I should do that once. But at least the background, so that when you actually navigate to it in the menu, it will show the right game background, and that's gonna be cool.
It just rebooted and started doing this. Seems like we got maybe a new game on the system. Oh, there are some new games installed now as well. That's pretty cool. Alright, so this is booted. Now we have to hook it up to the PC and see if I can still figure out how to install stuff on there. It's been more than a year, so this is going to be some tinkering. Okay, so I hooked up the laptop to the device. Very short USB cord, so I have to move some stuff around now. Apparently the new firmware comes with this, whatever you call it. There's the store mode, something like that. A track mode. It just plays these things automatically. Might be interesting to have this on in future videos on the background, although I prefer seeing my own games there, so maybe not. But anyway, I'm gonna install the new tool that allows me to install my game on it. I've got a new version for that. Let's see if it works. Installing the file. Success. It says success. That's a good step. Now I have to figure out how to activate all that. And apparently it also wiped my iiRcade clean. That's a problem. Anyway, we're gonna try to install the new game anyway. I can install my own games and not what I was expecting. Found the commands to do this, and we now have Regulator City zip file over here, and it should be able to add those. Installing Regulator City. This is kinda exciting. Of course, it might just fail spectacularly, but if this works, it's pretty cool. Alright, took a little bit of tinkering, but it now says hit installed, so let's see if it actually Regulator City with the background I just created, but does it launch? This is a pretty cool sign. It actually runs on the game, and we have Regulator City. Alright, let me change some setup and see if we can actually play a little bit of this. And I'm saying change the setup because the iiRcade lights cord to the laptop on a flunky, fake, flaky stool setup, pedestal thingy, and another wire to the big screen, lights. Let's clean it up. Alright, so no, I didn't shrink. The desk is higher. I'm not for. Anyway, it runs except for the stick and the character not moving, and I'm not sure why, because the stick obviously works in the menus and in the map screen, so it's not. It's functioning in the game. It's just probably some game logic in the controller, whatever. But I'm very happy we got to this stage during the span of this video. I have to be honest, it took me 2 hours to get a working version installed. I just didn't record all that process because it was technical and updating and installing and pretty much the same thing over and over with tiny changes until it ran. The good thing about the iiRcade, it's an Android device, so I can check the log files and can figure out what's going wrong, and that helped a lot figuring out how to get my game up and running. So I think it's gonna be pretty cool having a 2-stick game available on the iiRcade. If this runs for 2 players and you can, can't wait to get that all working. I'm not sure eventually if the game is gonna end up on the iiRcade for everybody, but I am gonna try and do my best for that. I think the game would be a perfect fit, so we'll see. For now, I think I covered everything.
probably. It's been a bit of a chaotic day. I knew that before I started doing the video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because I had a lot of fun. I like tinkering with stuff, especially if it actually ends up working. In this case, pretty close to working. I'll tinker with it some more, and I'll have this up and running before the evening, and then I will be able to play Regulator City on the iiRcade, on an arcade cabinet, and the game isn't even done yet. Anyway, if you got questions, comments, likes, or whatever, give them all down below underneath this video, comments, and drop on the Discord to hang out and chat and play the Discord game. There's some new functionality added to the game, and it's pretty cool. Weekly winners, weekly statistics, weekly scores, stuff like that. So come hang out on the Discord, and I will see you next week. I'm not sure how I'm gonna top this video, but this was pretty epic for just me. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thanks for watching. Bye! Airplane.